Dear students, you are all welcome to AEA 507 class, Agricultural Risk Management. Topic 4, titled Risk Management and Strategy in Risk Management in Agriculture. I hope you enjoyed topic 3. Topic 4 will be very interesting. I am Dr. Helen, Inyang, your course facilitator. Stay put and listen. Yeah, risk management, and that's the topic 4 is on risk management and strategy in risk management. The sources of risks in agriculture are numerous and diverse. The market for agricultural inputs and outputs have a direct incidence on farming risks, particularly through price. The management of risks involves processes which is indicative of the facts such as such tax is not expected to be taken casually by the farmers or its representative if the end result is to be financial to the farmers and the business enterprises. Risk is an important aspect of farming business. The uncertainty of the weather, yield, prices, government policy, global market, and other factors can cause wide swings in farm income. Risk management involves choosing among alternatives that reduce the financial effects of such uncertainty. Farmers have many options for managing the risks they face, and most producers use combination of strategies and tools. Some strategies deal with only one kind of risk, while others multiply risks, which we are going to discuss about them one after the other. Okay, so risk management provides the assurance that objectives are more likely to be achieved. Damaging. Second one is damaging things will not happen. Yes, you will achieve the objectives in risk management. Damaging things will not happen or are less likely to happen, even if they will, but not much. It won't be less likely to happen. Financial things will, or beneficiary things will be, or are more likely to achieve. That is risk management. Losses will be reduced in risk management. Then income variability will be reduced, if not totally eliminated. That is, these are the objectives of risk management. So every farmer must embark on risk management in order to overcome the losses they always incur as a result of agricultural production. Let us look at the steps in risk management processes. Risk management concepts enable systematic and realistic framework to be established for accident prevention. The steps involved in risk management processes include the following. Risk identification. This is the first step involved in it. You have to know and appreciate the risks one is faced, and it's then you now work towards that. The next one is risk identification. Sorry. Then in risk identification, the farmer has to know and appreciate the risk one is faced in. It's a critical, and also to design effective management response to it. Such identification action by organization are focused on generating relevant information on sources of risk, hazards, risk factors, perils, and exposure to risks. So, in order to properly recognize the operational risks of a particular farm enterprise, there is need for a farmer or a farm manager to have a thorough knowledge of, that is in risk identification, a thorough knowledge of the farm enterprise, that is crop farming, livestock, aquaculture, or apiculture, and so on. He must have a proper knowledge of the market in which it operates. In identification also, the farmer also, the farm manager must, that is, have a legal, that is, the business must be have a legal entity, social, economic, political, and climatic environment in which it does its businesses. Also, the farmer must also have, or farm manager must be knowledgeable on the financial strength and weakness of the crops or livestock enterprises. The farmer also must have a knowledge on its vulnerability to unplanned losses. He must have a wider knowledge of this. So the next thing the farmer will do is risk estimation. That is the second thing, processes, steps that in risk management processes. So the second step is to measure the likelihood that the risk will occur and the potential negative impacts by assigning probabilities and outcomes to it. This is particularly difficult step because of subjective nature of many of these measurements. But however, this only underscores the importance of accurately measuring those variables for which reliable, objective measures are available. So after risks have been identified, they will need to be further analyzed to define the effects of risks on production and farmers. So risk estimation will provide information on the relative severities of various risks. The crops or animals or other aspects of agricultural production that will reflect or affect, thereby signifying the enterprise, and as assets that must be protected, or people to whom protection have to be provided. That is what the risk estimation needs to do. Therefore, in the risk estimation processes, the consequences as well as the probability of occurrence of those hazards identified are assessed under risk estimation. Then the third one here is risk evaluation. Risk evaluation is the making of an overall judgment on the importance of the risk to determine its acceptability. On the basis of risk estimation, an evaluation is then made as whether the risk is acceptable, or additionally, safety measures are necessary to reduce the risk to an acceptable level. That is about evaluation. Then establishment. Establishment control measure, or control measure established here, or establishment of control measure. Risks can normally be reduced through one or several safety measures. So the reduction can apply to either the consequences or the probability that will occur. The control measure may be by ways of engineering control or administrative control. Engineering control refers to hardware such as guards, barriers, counsel against erosion, while administrative control refers to software such as safe working procedures, safety systems, example, crop rotation, use of organic fertilizer instead of inorganic fertilizer, and so on. The last but not the least here is implementation of control measures. How do you implement this control measure in risk management? So appropriate control measures are put to work at this stage. It may take a long while to implement the measure because considerable time may be needed for training, equipment purchase, installation work, and often the need for overcoming resistance to change. So the process of risk management, as mentioned above, is a continuous process. It is a continuous process, and it is a continuous process. The process of risk management mentioned above is a continuous process which is never ending. Risk management cannot end because every year, from year to year, it evolves. It's a continuous process and there is need for improvement. Some risks may have been overlooked and needs further identification. And new risks may be introduced in the course of time, and the whole process would have to be performed again. So, furthermore, the residual risks of certain risks may also need to be assessed to evaluate their acceptability after appropriate control measures have been implemented. So this risk measure process can further be divided into, that's all these risks that we have talked about, they can further be divided into two distinct stages. We have the first stage here concerns with understanding the problems, that is fact finding, while the second stage concerns with the solution to the problem. The first stage encompasses the process of risk identification, which we have discussed, risk assessment, while the second stage encompasses the process of risk evaluation, establishment of control measure, and implementation, which we have already discussed. So let us look at the benefits of risk management. The benefit of risk management can be viewed from three angles. We have the benefit of risk management to the farm enterprise. That's number one. The benefit of risk management to national economy. Number two, that's number two. Number three, the benefit of risk management to farmers and farm workers. So let us look at the first on the list here, the benefit of risk management to the farm enterprise. So one of the benefits is an effective risk management support strategy and enterprise planning. It supports effective use of resources, as any risk management strategy will support effective use of resources. It will also, the risk management promotes continuous improvement in agricultural production. The risk management also enables farmers or farm enterprise to quickly grasp new opportunities and then launch it and have advantage over them. It also have internal audits each audits each farm enterprise. It also improves credit status of the farm business. With a good management strategies, the enterprise will be able to have access to credit. So let us also look at the benefits of risk. For diversifying is based on the idea that returns from various enterprises do not move up and down in lockstep, so that when one activity has a low return, the other activities is likely will have a higher return. That is one about diversification. A crop farm, for example, may have several productive enterprises or may operate disjoint parcels, so that localized weather disasters are less likely to reduce yield from all crops simultaneously. So many crops farmed in less developed countries engage in mixed cropping. For example, they produce maize and melon, maize and cassava, maize, cassava, yam, and vegetable. By producing two or more crops instead of only one, the farm is less at risk of having low revenue because revenues from the two crops are not perfectly or positively correlated. In some years, low maize revenue may be counterbalanced by relatively high melon revenues. That is what diversification is all about. Also, planting maize and melon or cowpea, for instance, will not only reduce variability in income, it may reduce the fertilizer requirement because melon and cowpea add nutrients to the soil. That is true because of the nitrogen fixing properties of the bacteria that reside in the root nodules of cowpea. It may spread out labor and machines used over critical times in planting and harvesting seasons. Also, in a situation where livestock is part of the enterprise mix, the operator may be kept busy throughout the year, and crop and animal byproducts may be used more fully. That is, the byproducts of this crop, like the melon, the leaves of melon can be used for for feeding of animals. Even the byproducts of corn or maize can also be used for feeding these animals. And then the byproducts of maize or of animals can also be used as organic manure for the cultivation of crops. You can see that the farmer would virtually, instead of going to buy those things, will make use of what he has, and then his income or revenue will increase. Through crop diversification as a production risk management tools, farmers and ranchers may acquire another marketing tools, providing another way to enhance profitability. Direct marketing of diversified crops to consumers is becoming much more common, including farmers markets, roadside stands, and community support agricultural agreements. The farmer themselves can do that. They can stand at the roadside and sell their produce. So the benefit of diversifying income sources depend on the variability of returns faced by the producers. Diversification can also be achieved by having several income sources, such as on-farm business and off-farm income, and so on. So let us also consider the mitigation. Vertical integration is a type of management control. It is a mitigation method of risk management that is used to reduce the effects of production risks on agriculture. It is similar to enterprise diversification, but they are different to a very large extent. This is while enterprise diversification can involve combination of related and unrelated enterprises. Then vertical integration involves the combination of two or more related enterprises. So it is one of the alternative methods of coordinating management and controlling of farm production from farm supply to ultimate consumers. To the ultimate consumers. Then vertical enterprise or integration can be defined as a combination of two or more stages of production marketing change under single ownership. In vertical integration, it can be of two forms. That is, we have two forms of vertical integration as shown here. Number one here is backward integration. The other one is forward integration. Let us look at the backward integration. Backward integration occurs when the firm decides to make rather than buy an input from an independent supplier as they make their farm inputs instead of buying it. In other words, firm is said to be backward integrated, has control over the supply of its inputs. He makes it instead of buying from suppliers. Then forward integration occurs when the firm decides to use rather than sell one of its products to independent customers. It says one may decide to he uses the product that he produced in order to manufacture another produce rather than selling it to independent customers. Conversely, vertical disintegration involves in a decision to buy rather than make an input, or to sell rather than use an input. So backward integration could be a case whereby poultry farm produce is fed by acquiring a feed mill, and a forward integration signifies poultry farm that acquired its inputs from the upstream but combined distribution with production. So now instead of selling it, you now say, okay, let me get a feed mill and then produce my feed. You are into poultry products. And then alongside you sell the feed mill, the feed, and also sell your poultry. That is forward integration. So vertical integration generally decreases risks associated with the quantity and quality of inputs or output because vertical integration firm retains ownership and control of the commodities across two or more phases of production or marketing. They produce and also they reproduce. They produce and process. what they do. So let us also consider the benefit of vertical integration. Vertical integration as a risk mitigation method potentially offers the following advantages. Number one, vertical integration reduces transportation costs and risks associated with transporting inputs and output if common ownership results in close geographic proximity. They get their resources, decide to make their resources or inputs. They won't buy. And also after that production, they decided not to sell their outputs, but convert it to another output or produce. It improves supply chain coordinations. Already as a result of that, they may have a target market where they will sell their produce. Or they will also produce and then also process it and then use it for other purposes. That's the supply chain. Instead of going to look for where to buy, you have a source of supply. I will produce, let me have also supplied my feeds for my animals. Firm may integrate as a risk reduction strategy. That's another advantage. Vertical integration as a risk management strategy immense losses or minimize losses and costs, thereby increases the profitability of business enterprise. Taking, for example, the mixed cropping system, cultivating corn and then cowpea. The cowpea adds nitrogen to the soil, which enhances the production capacity of the corn, of maize. It provides more opportunities to differentiate by means of increased control over inputs. Also, entrepreneur and the farmers can guarantee the quality of inputs because most of the inputs are the one produced. They are the one that produce this input. They know the source of it. They can guarantee the quality of their inputs. That is a very high yielding seeds. It also ensure adequate and timely supply of their inputs. Since they are the one that sometimes they don't want to buy it from the suppliers, they produce them. They get them whenever they want. Advantages, the drawback of vertical integration. So while some of the benefits of vertical integration can be quite attractive to the firm, the drawbacks may negate any potential gains. Let us look at the drawbacks as follows. Vertical integration requires high level of capital investment, yes, because first you embark on a production of agricultural production, then before you know it, I want to embark on a meal, feed meal, so that I will be able to feed my animals. As it required capital. Taking for example a poultry farm that integrated backward is expected to acquire feed meal and produce the maize to feed the animals. You can see that. Then the profitability advantage of vertical integration is often limited to scale and scope, incompatibility and underutilization of machinery. Because it may be since you don't want to maybe incorporate in a commercial, you want to produce this and then use this to feed your animals. As such, you may not be able to. Your machineries may be underutilized. You will not use these machineries to the full capacity since you are operating on a backward integration. This problem will occur, for instance, in a vertical integration of poultry farm if the capacity of feed mill is greater than the feed requirements of the poultry farm. Then as such, this capacity balance, this is a capacity balancing issue and is also known as unbalanced throughout. But I think the next thing that you should do, you must also sell it out so that you can produce more. You produce for your best as well as having another market outlet where you will be able to sell the more, the increase, or that is the more meals, feed to other customers. That is the only way that you will operate your machine to a full capacity. Then potential higher costs due to low efficiency resulting from lack of suppliers competition. Vertical integration reduces flexibility due to previous upstream or downstream investment. Yes, because you have already acquired heavy machineries that cost you so much. You cannot be flexible. You cannot change the enterprise. You must still go on it. Decreased ability to increase products varieties if significance in the house development is required. It increases bureaucracy and its attendant costs. It may lead to loss of specialization because you want to go into agricultural production of maize, corn, and rice, and then you also want to go into a feed mill, poultry production. You can see that you will not. It is a jack of all trades and master of none. That is the best way to put it. So let us look at another mitigating methods such as heading, lensing, and off-farm employment. So let us look at the first thing as heading, that is future contracts. In heading there, a future contract is an agreement priced and entered on an exchange to trade at a specific future time in a commodity or other assets with specific attributes, or in the case of cash settlement, an equivalent amount of money. The future contract provides the farmers as well as processors, merchandisers, and others with methods for reducing their risks. Future contracts were almost exclusively traded on commodity price in the past, although innovations in recent decades also have introduced contracts on interest rates. Yes. I want my money, get it, and then you pay me interest rates. Foreign exchange rates, price indexes rates, and crop yield. So future contracts are usually available on some inputs used by some farmers, especially livestock feeders. Future contracts introduce additional flexibility into individual farmers' marketing response, as the primary use of this future contract involves shifting risks from a firm that desires less risk, that's headers, to a party who is willing to accept the risk in exchange for expected profits, that is the speculators. Also, the headers with opposite position in the market trade with each other, and speculator with opposing view of the market may also trade. Speculators know their own, what they need to do is just to buy and urge. Give me, let me give you money. You producer give me, then because I've had a rumors that there will be increase in price of a commodity by next year. They continue buying, demanding. So most future contracts are offset by opposite rates before delivering times. with each party to the transaction selling or buying. A future contract was highly bought or initially bought or sold. That is, you buy a particular product in future with the intention that you will sell it at a higher price. Then at the end of it, the market may drop. The price may drop and then you end up losing. And such people always go to the farm, give them the money, because since farmers, most of them do not have the capacity to acquire all inputs needed. They will give them money to buy inputs and then they will now sell their produce for them in future. Already they have made a bargaining power of the future price. This is how much I want you to sell for me. By the time I give you this amount of money, you must give me goods worth the amount of money at a certain price. That is all. Whatever happens is not their own. But it's also good to the farmers to some extent because they have been able to share their risk to another person. Then the next thing, leasing inputs and hiring. Producers can also manage their farming risks by either leasing inputs, including their land. They rent it out, farm and give me a certain percent of their farm produce, or hire workers during harvest or other parts. Those that have employed farmers, they can hire their workers to other people during harvest or other parts. Leasing refers to capital transfer agreements that provide the renter, the actual operators, with the control over assets owned by someone else for a given period. Just like that land, you rent a land, cultivate, and then go out after 1 year. Or you hire machineries and use in the course of production. You can also hire laborers, which in turn you pay to the owners. So with control over assets owned by someone else for a given period of time using mutually agreed upon rental agreement. This is how much I want you to give me at the end of it. That is it. Farmer can lend land, lend machineries, like I said, lend equipment or livestock, especially those animals used for work, bulls and for plow, power animals. Lending is a method used to expand control over resources. In addition, it commits the farmers to regular payments. The farmer says, okay, take. Either you pay me on a yearly basis or in monthly basis or in cash or at the end of the production period, depending on. It also has advantages as well as disadvantages. So one of the advantages is that control can be gained over long life inputs, such as land and machineries, without making long-term payments commitment. That's lending. You get a land, plants that then you don't really pay much, and pay and plant and live for that a particular year. Then the next year, the farmer will collect it. Either he may give it back to you or you lend from another place. Leasing provides producers with flexibility in allocating their assets portfolios. A producer can be in either the farming business or the land ownership business without being in both. Leasing has potential advantage to those who are renting. Leasing improves the renter flexibility to respond to changing methods conditions. Also, it reduces the long-term fixed payments on borrowed capital that may strengthen liquidity in years of reduced outputs. The fifth one is it reduces both financial and production risks for the renters. So the renters, when you rent and lease, especially the land, and then there is an outbreak of either disease or flood, natural disaster, where it will consume either the plants of the person that rented the land. You can see that you'll be free. Already the money has been paid to you. You'll be free from such disasters. In essence, leasing limits fixed costs, provide greater flexibility for the renter to adapt. It also offers a way to enter farming or to manage the size of operation without requiring large investment of capital. That's renting. You just get it, and then you don't need that. You know, since you are not the one going to buy the land, you only collect it and pay a token and use it, and then or machineries and use it and then return it back to the owner. So advantages may further accrue from the perspective of the owner. Leasing allows owner of the asset to receive the returns on his or her investment and may reduce risk when share rentals agreement is used if the owner is confident of the renter management abilities. Rents, and then we share the profits, we share the yields, we share the products. In the case of cash lends, the owner income risk is reduced substantially. Disadvantages. The only disadvantage is that renting may limit the short-term borrowing capacity of an operation because of absence of collateral to back a loan. Yes, because they may not allow them short-term borrowing. That is the only disadvantage. But it has, as far as the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, venture to go into mitigating methods. In conclusion, risk management is the identification, analyzing, and economic control of those risks which can threaten the assets or earn capacity of an enterprise. Risks must be identified before they can be measured, and only after their impact has been assessed, then we can decide what to do with them. Also, risk management processes involve a process executed in a well-defined manner in order to ensure the best interest of the business. Risk management calls for actions such as risk identification, evaluation, measurement, treatment of risks, risk control, and financing. We have also learned that diversification and vertical integration are excellent risk management techniques. Diversification is an effective way of reducing income variability, while vertical integration generally decreases risks associated with quantity and quality of inputs or output use. We have also learned about the headings of farm employment and leasing as a method of risk management. Summary. Meaning, we have learned about the meaning and scope of risk management as well as the principle of risk management. We have studied risk management as a process and the benefit of risk management processes. The risk management processes are risk identification, risk assessment, estimation, risk evaluation, establishment of control measures, and implementation of the identified control over measures or control measures. The benefit of risk management processes are viewed from the angles of the farm businesses, the farmers, and the workers. That is the family level and hired level. We have also treated enterprise diversification, vertical integration, headings, off-farm employment, and leasing as risk management methods. assignments. In the course of our real class facilitation, will discuss set 3 benefits each that are derived from risk management by the following: enterprise, farm enterprises, national economy, and farmers.